Lightning Poland. This is your review for 2. Good day, my name is Joe Gerba. Today I'll be going over Lightning Poland and how it plays with 2 players. Now Lightning Poland is a 2-player game where you'll be recreating some events in World War II. And as the Poland player, you want to try to make sure the Germans don't invade all your lands and capture your objectives. And as the German player, you're trying to make sure you're not delayed on your 3 fronts. So let's see a little bit more how to play. In this game, the one to win is the first one to reach 10 victory points. Now you get victory points by capturing these objectives. The Poland player has a lot more objectives to capture for fewer points than the German player, while the Poland player is trying to really just delay the 3 fronts, which will give them their 10 objective points. Now, in this game, you're going to be playing some troops, some forces onto the battlefield. You can play up to 3 points worth of force from your hand every turn. You can draw up to 9 cards, or you can try to attack one objective. Now, to attack an objective, you'll put some of your forces forward, and you have a handful of cards. Now, these cards may do various things, but your goal is to have more force than the opponent. The other opponent will put their defensive forces out there, and then you'll start playing these cards. So some of these cards have to do with military, intelligence, circumstance, and as you put those down, it'll add to the total force that you have, and you're really just trying to beat the other person. Now, what's fun about this game is that there's a little bit of bluffing, a little bit of push your luck, push the envelope, where as soon as the other person plays a circumstance and you have a circumstance out there, you have to discard yours. So it's kind of a how many cards do you have left in your hand, kind of bluffing. I'm going to play some statecraft, or I'm going to play this battle plan as a military. When you play a military just to get rid of the battle plan, it's very back and forth. These cards are discarded at the end of the battle, while these cards, the force cards, go back to your hand. And remember, you'll have to spend a whole nother turn to get those back out there. There's some cards that discard those, remove them from the game. That's kind of the game in the nutshell. You'll just be going back and forth, trying to capture these objective points, trying to get your forces out there, making sure you have enough cards in your hand that you can have that, vital defense or that last, push offense. Both play very differently. The German have a ton of forces and a few less tricks up their sleeve, but they have a lot of forces to be able to push. The Poland player has very few forces, but they have a lot of cards they can use and play throughout the game. So that's a little bit how to play Lightning Poland. Man, let's see a little bit more what I thought about the game. The components in this game, very simple. This box is very small, very portable. It comes with really 2 decks, one for the Poland player and one for the German player. The rules aren't very long. What are you going to call this? A page, front and back. And once you get going, it can be very fast. I like the setup of this game. It's set up the same way each time. Poland player puts his objectives out. German player puts their objectives out. You have a few starting forces, and you just draw your cards. It can be played in a really small area. It's very portable. I like all that about this game. Now the gameplay is interesting. It's kind of like I said, push the envelope, push your luck. How many cards does the other person have? How many cards do you have? You get 1 card per turn at the end of your turn, so you can kind of slowly get your cards, or just draw back up to 9 if you've exhausted everything during a battle. When do you put some of these forces out? When do you save some of your high point, circumstance, intelligence, and military cards? Are you waiting for that crucial battle, or do you need that now? The German player just feels like it's overwhelming. Now they have to capture a lot more objectives, and there's a lot more crucial objectives they need to capture. It's tougher to capture some of these than it is for the Poland player to capture, or to delay the 3 objectives of the German player. And it's a neat game. It's a back and forth. There's a how many cards do you have in your hand? Surely you don't have any more of these playable cards, and it's just it's a nice back and forth game. But it takes a special person to kind of play with. You know, you don't want to just play with anybody. You know, it's easy to teach, but you have to have a little bit of mind of it's going to be a deep, easy game. You know, once you've played a few times, you definitely get the hang of it. It's one of those that if you play the same person over and over, you can really have a good time with this game. You can really try to get the intricacies out and really get that last, you know, get that circumstance that you really need out. And it's a fun, quick game. I don't want to necessarily call it a filler because it does take 30 to 45 minutes and it can only be played with 2 players. But the back and forth in this game, the push and pull, you know, the ebb and flow, whatever you want to call it, is just fantastic in this game. The theme won't really appeal to everybody. The art on the cards I think are great. It's all in black and white. Everything's kind of thematic. It's just fun to go, here's my battle plan, or I'm going to play some spies down on you. Oh, to the last, I'm going to have to discard a troop at the end of this round, but it's going to give me 3 force. And it's just, you know, foreign aid. It's just, it's very thematic. It's neat, but it's also, it can play the same. The German player's just trying to push, and the Poland player's just trying to, you know, defend and find their shots. Let me just do a quick touch on luck versus strategy. This game is highly strategic. However, you are drawing cards off the top of a deck, and that can always lead to some luck. Do you need forces right now? Do you need just these extra playable, you know, tactic cards? You know, what do you kind of need? And if you're the Poland player and you're stuck on 2 forces while the German player just has a slew of them, you know, it could just be game over from there. But, you know, you play a few times and the Poland player may draw the forces they need and get some really key cards, while the German player may not have the key cards and just have the forces. So there is a little bit of luck, but, you know, as you're in the middle of the game, the mid game, you know what you have, you see what your opponent. It's very strategic, and I like that about this game. So is this a game good for 2? I think it's a great game for 2 if you have that gaming buddy, that gaming friend, you know, that one game person who really likes a highly strategic back and forth game, high conflict. You're going to be attacking each other every other turn, you know, just about. There's always something happening. But you need that person that's kind of like-minded. It's tough to teach it to kind of a casual player because they won't kind of get the bluffing strategy. You may attack just so they defend, just to retreat again to get a card in your hand because they'll have to spend 2 turns to get their forces out, where you'll just have to spend 1 turn. You know, there's a highly it's a numbers game. You'll have to be keeping track of force the whole time. You know, it takes 2 like-minded people to really enjoy this game. However, if you find that person, it's a lot of fun. It's enjoyable. You can play this before you start your big games for the evening. Like I said, 30 to 45 minutes max. And it's a great little game that I did not expect to like, because I don't like really war theme. I'm not a big fan of, World War I, World War II kind of themed games. But this, to me, the game is so good and the theme really is oozing and dripping, and you can feel just the pressure as the Poland player and feel the might, kind of the Empire versus Rebellion in Star Wars Rebellion. You kind of get that feel with this, and it makes it a good game. So I really do like this game, but you do have to be careful that you got to find that person that, is kind of like-minded with you that'll enjoy this game. So I like this game for 2, and until next time.